Welcome to episode 12.
Okay, let me just jump back on. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Great to see you all.
Totally. Oh, hang on. I'm going to have a little look at that little plan.
I'm just going to have a little look at Millie. Just going to check it's still there. Just going to check it's still dangling between my little legs.
With my willy?
Yes.
No. Well, speaking of my willy and my balls, Gory, what did my offspring tell me when you were here the other day? Do you remember?
What? Oh,
my wonderful offspring told me that she didn't want big boobies like me when she's older because they look like a pair of hanging testicles without the penis in the middle.
Can always count on kids, to be honest.
Absolute fucking savages. I mean, they don't. They're not pert, but they don't look like a pair of dangly, hairy testicles, wrinkled and stuff.
I've been reading about analogous body parts. Actually, yeah. So, like in the womb, we all start out as when we're fetuses. We start out with like female parts, but then if a Y chromosome gets thrown in there, then the female parts that we start out with start to turn into male parts. So actually the analogous female part to the male scrotum is our outer
labia
majora. It's those lips that turn into the male scrotal sac.
I knew that. I did know that in the background of my head. So why I didn't say that to Viola?
You could have taught your daughter
what
that.
do you know, idiot? Actually, your labia.
Does she know the words labia majora, labia minora?
Don't think so.
Does she know what her vagina actually is?
Oh yeah, since she's been like...
Like, it's the actual hole. It's not the whole thing.
She knows it's the whole. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Since she's been, I've always like called them their actual names. Since she was about, I think she was about 2 or 3. I can remember in the bath going, "I've got a vagina that is got a villy." Yeah. But she doesn't like it. She was a bit upset once. She came to me a bit upset because she'd looked in the mirror and with no pants on at her bottom, and it looked like a black eye. It looks like a black eye, mummy. And I thought she meant her arsehole, but it wasn't. It was her vagina. So
black
it was a lovely vagina. There's nothing wrong with your black eye. It's perfect. It's a perfect little black eye. Don't worry about it. So yeah. But yeah. Balls would be labia if it wasn't for the extra chromosome.
I wonder if it's the shape that she wasn't happy with then.
I just think it's the fact that she looked at... I mean, I can't imagine taking myself back to having that little understanding of my own genitalia, then like bending over looking in the mirror. She must have been pulling it up in a certain way so that like the hole looked like the shape of an eye. And she was like,
what is that?
I've got a black eye.
I mean, I've been reading about the way that the clitoris works, and the clitoris, there's 2 big bulbs that go around your vaginal opening. So it's not about the length at all. It's a lot more about the
girth. No.
It's the width that you feel
100%
when he's inside you.
Yeah. But it doesn't even need to be a big width. It just has to go in at the right angle and hit the right spot.
I've got a question. Carry on. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You say that, but it's still great when you are with someone who has a penis that can hit your G-spot.
That was the question I was going to ask. That was the question I was going to ask you both. Can you feel your G-spot?
Yeah.
I don't believe in a G-spot. I think it's just back of you. I think it's the back of your clit.
Well, that's what I've been researching.
Yeah.
I guess there is a spot, but it's not separate from the clitoris. It is hitting the back of your clitoris, like through the urethral sponge.
Okay, yeah.
So there is an area, like
there's definitely an area because I squirt when it's hit.
Yeah. So, yeah, I
sounds like your urethral sponge is probably being hit.
I don't. Yeah. I was like, I don't think I get any. I got a guy to try and find it, and we could not.
Got a guy, any guy.
We could not find it.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it feels good, but I think my view is that whatever it is,
didn't even feel good. It didn't even feel good. It just felt weird to me.
Oh, yeah.
Not even good.
No one asked you.
But I don't like.
Huh? I love it.
Look. Anyway, yeah, I've never found it.
But I don't like the sensation of having fingers inside my vagina anyway. And I think that was part of it. Because I was just laid there like, this is weird.
Well, I beg to differ.
I like other people's fingers inside me, but not my own. If I'm wanking, I'll never put my own in. I like in porn where women put their fingers inside themselves. I'm always like, I would skip through that bit.
Yeah,
Can't relate.
Same. I don't put my hand inside myself. Or fingers or a toy. I only if I'm playing with if it's masturbation, then it's just clitoral.
Penis is good inside, but like nothing else. I've never found pleasure out of anything else.
No,
being
I like
inside
fingers.
me.
In fact, I think sometimes fingers is better.
Fingers is
Why
better.
is that? Is that because they can curve it, hit the spot?
Different angles, and that fingers don't come and finish in a minute.
I found a song on Spotify the other day that's about fingering.
It's nice.
Yeah, I was listening to bashment music, just like a playlist that Spotify made. And then a song came on. This woman was like, "I love it when you finger me." Let me see if I can find the lyrics. It was really good.
Have you got it as your ringtone now?
Yeah. "I love it when you finger me."
I've that on in the library.
Yeah.
Going back to big dicks hurting as well. If a dick like hurts, you might not have been turned on enough beforehand, because what your body actually does when you get sexually aroused is it like pulls the cervix and uterus back in your vagina canal, expands by up to like 2/3 or something like that. I think it's 1/3 or 2/3. Like it actually gets longer when you get sexually aroused. Yeah. So if
somebody told me that the other day actually.
It's called tenting. And so if someone goes inside you before you're aroused.
Tenting.
Yeah, then your vagina might not be long enough yet to like take it, and it'll hurt because it'll be like hitting your cervix.
What a fucking word for it. Why tenting?
They could call it tenting because I guess it like pulls. It pulls it out. Yeah, it pulls it back. Right. Like it actually pulls like your womb and your cervix back, and your vaginal canal gets longer when you get aroused, along with other things like your female erection.
What, your clit?
Yeah,
mine's tiny.
Your erection. Well, the erection is like the whole clitoris, so it's like the bulbs around your.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's like the whole thing gets erect, so you'll notice the lips around your vagina will actually like get bigger, and they'll change colour as well. They might get like darker because your entire clitoris gets erect, even the inside bits.
My partner and I once bought a pussy pump.
What is that?
We were in this shop in like
for the pussy or for the clitoris.
For the pussy, you put it over like
the whole
like
pussy.
A gas mask, but like over your full vagina. And we were in this shop. It was like this weird shop in Manchester that sold like sex toys, but also records and like weird old shit. And it was this box that had clearly been there since like 1989 or something. It just said pussy pump and had a picture of this thing. And we asked the guy, we were like, took us and we were like, what's this for? And he goes, well, you know, it's a pussy pump. You put it on your pussy and you pump it.
What does it do? That I really want to know what this does.
I've seen them.
So it's
what?
like
It just pumps your pussy up. Makes
yeah.
it
So you know you're saying like your
engorged.
lips. Yeah, like everything just gets engorged. It's for me, it wasn't like pleasurable. We were just intrigued by it.
Oh, you
But
just tried it.
Huh?
You tried it.
Yeah.
Did it make you fanny fat?
It. Give me a fat fanny. Yeah, put it in my pussy and I pumped it. Yeah, it just makes everything dead swollen.
So it didn't make like the blood like go to that area and help with. Oh, sorry, there's a kitten pulling on my. Come here, you. Hello.
No, I don't think it's felt like. I don't know if it. I don't remember it. Like enhancing the sexual experience more. I think if anything, we'll probably wait for it to go down. Just doesn't look like just. I was like, oh, big swollen fanny. Should we wait for that to calm down?
Well, you
now
could
that we've seen it.
You could just make it swollen by getting aroused. Though actually
Not
aroused.
No, not to the extent that
swollen.
pussy pump can.
Maybe look it up, Corey, and you'll take that.
No.
Take that. Out. We know what we're getting gory for Christmas.
Yay.
Makes pussy look like, you know when those girls get like loads of lip filler like that.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
That's so funny. I think it's used. They use them in BDSM. I don't know. Like, I think that's more like I don't know, because there's a lot of like BDSM degradation, humiliation sort of thing, isn't there? Whether how do we always get onto porn one way or another?
I was reading about Marquis du Sade the other day as well. So he's the person that the word sadism comes from. Marquis du Sade.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you know about this?
Oh, look him up. He's so interesting. He was a French nobleman.
Yeah.
So like super rich in the elite in France. And he just wrote the sickest shit you could ever think of. But
Get me some of that.
But also he was a terrible guy, and he raped people and he tortured people. He did everything. He like actually did it all as well. He was a terrible guy.
Sadist.
He was a sadist. That's where the word comes from. And he wrote.
Yeah.
Have you heard of 120 Days of Sodom?
Yeah.
No, I've heard. Why do I feel like I've heard of it? I don't know what it is though.
It's like the most sickest thing ever written, but he never actually finished it because he wrote it. He wrote it in jail, and then for some reason, he was writing it in jail in secret, and then he got moved out of his cell for some reason, and so he never finished it. And it's like, but somebody found the transcript like rolled up secretly in like a wall cavity in his jail cell.
What's it about? I'm guessing the clue is in the name, so it's about.
Yeah,
sodomy.
I read a synopsis of the plot, and it's basically about, I think it's like 4 like elite noblemen who all have these sick desires, and they basically they like kidnap I think like 12 like teenagers between the ages of like 12 and 18, and they just torture them and rape them over 120 days. And he just writes out like just everything, just all of the most awful thing you could possibly ever think up in your brain is what he wrote. Yeah, it's very interesting.
What did he go to prison for being a sick fuck?
Yeah, for like raping people, torturing people. Yeah, he might have murdered people as well. Yeah.
Shit, man.
It's interesting, like, that he was this terrible person, but then has kind of been lifted to, like, I don't know. He's got this status because we.
Yeah, like why would they have used the name of like? Because sadists in BDSM.
After this terrible person.
I mean, sadism is like you're partnered with a willing masochist who wants.
Yeah, nothing about what he did was involving willing people. It was like children. It was just
It's almost like why was his name chosen? That seems,
I don't know. I guess he was like one of the first people who was like who got famous out of that kind of material. I suppose, but yeah.
I started reading something before I jumped on with you guys, an article about how female serial killers are depicted in the media and how the public perceive them, in contrast to male serial killers. And it was saying, I should have finished it up before I jumped on, actually, but it was saying that like male serial killers are often like held up and they're like notoriized. What's the word?
Notarized.
Notarized, that's the word. Whereas in a way that female killers tend not to be. And it just made me think of that. Like, you have this terrible, terrible person who's going around raping and killing. We're like, oh my God, let's name like a whole thing after him. You know?
Yeah, that actually, looking up Lucy Letby, Lucy Letby put me down a rabbit hole of just looking up serial killers.
Before we do that, should we do the messages?
We say yessages to your messages. So our regular listeners will know this is our section where we pick our favourite comments from you guys from our previous videos and we discuss them. So, friends, what were your favourites from our last video?
Well, I mean, I don't have a favourite, but I did have one that I noticed.
Yeah.
That, so what did somebody say? What a weirdly centrist episode.
That's the one that I was going to pick.
And I want to know why. I'm interested. It's not that like I have an issue with people raising it, but what I want is, in future, why do you think that?
So, the person who picked that, wait there a second, where is she? I think it's a woman. Wait there a second.
I wouldn't say the name, I don't think.
Well, we've said what the comment is, so you can literally go on our YouTube channel and see it anyway.
Okay, yeah, all right
then. So it's someone that's been listening to us for a while. So thank you for following and keeping up with us. We love that and appreciate you. But yeah, that's the one that I was going to pick as well. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I wonder why they think that.
I thought that as well. I read it and I was like, was it? What about it was?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I think maybe I was putting across the kind of leftist point of view.
Which I think ultimately me and Naomi agreed with.
Yeah.
I think we acknowledged ourselves in our own bias.
Yeah.
But I think, speaking for myself anyway, I think I was kind of like, yeah, I guess it's, I kept on asking, like, is it that bad? You know, like, which I can see where they're coming from in asking. Yeah.
But I think we kind of like acknowledge that it's just our experiences that make us think that it's not that bad, really. Like, because we've normalized it so much that we're kind of, because like, you know, like even I'm like, is it really that bad? But then when I sit down and think about it, I realize, yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be happening. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I think I didn't know whether, because I quoted Catherine Ryan, didn't I, who'd said that Lizzo, could it be that Lizzo is so woke that and that she's recruited such woke people that now she's not woke enough and they're whatever. I don't know, like
that's more of a joke though, isn't it? I think like it's just a funny take, I think.
Yeah, and also like it's not a negative spin on the word woke. I forgot called. It's interesting actually. The right, people on the right love calling me woke. Very, you know, I'm so woke, so left.
They
so
just love that. They just love that word though to describe
people
everything
nowadays.
People on the
Far left have called me capitalist scum. So do you know what I mean? Like I don't know that you can ever win. So I take terminology like that with a pinch of salt.
I'm just not a fan of labels though in general. I don't like putting labels on myself.
Label me, my life just feels so empty. My clothes tell you how I wish that I could.
Who calls you woke, Charlotte? Who do you know that's like so?
No. Nobody calls. Oh, who calls me woke? I don't know. Just anybody like when I've had friends that are right wing.
Okay. Do you know what? It's really. Oh, go on.
They'll like send me videos like, you know, taking the piss out of woke people. But I found, like I've said to you before, I've been on like I joined a Jeremy Corbyn meme group on Facebook, and it was the most vicious group of people ever that absolutely annihilated me and just absolutely typecasted anybody who, I guess, would be described as centre left as opposed to left. And I just thought, what an unpragmatic way of approaching things, that you're just creating division within the left as opposed to actually tackling what the real issues are.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, they were nasty, really nasty. So yeah,
they can.
That is a problem with the left, isn't it? Like looking down on people who don't agree with them.
Yeah,
like it's often not even about a debate. It's just like, you're an idiot for thinking this. How could you? And people who love Jeremy Corbyn can be especially like
just so
vicious.
weird, isn't it?
I'm a fan
and
of
then like
Corbyn. But
am I a fan of Corbyn? Yeah, I like Corbyn.
So, yeah, I am a fan of Corbyn.
I mean, I saw his like weaknesses, but I did like.
Integrity, which is more than we can say about a lot of bloody politicians. Take that.
He's a conviction politician, I think.
Like the term woke is interesting because it's actually something that's been hijacked from like African American vernacular, and it was actually used amongst black people to like say people would say stay woke, and what it actually means is to be alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. Stay woke.
Yes. Yeah. Now, ironically, it's almost exclusively used by right-wing people just to describe anything that they don't like or don't agree with.
Yeah, of course. It's like the word feminist. Let's just completely take it out of context and destroy it so that everybody in mainstream feels justified in saying, I'm not a feminist.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then you tell them the dictionary definition and they're like, me. That's their level of argument. So, I mean, I think I probably am centre-left. What would you guys say?
Do you like Keir Starmer?
Do I like Keir Starmer?
He's not left enough for me.
If we're talking about Keir Starmer,
he's not as different to he's not like a strong alternative to the Conservative Party. Some of the stuff that they've come out with, I'm like, that sounds exactly like what the Conservatives want.
I know.
Like, what?
And I've had this because what happens, is I read all these articles about Keir Starmer and like negative ones, and about things he's done, like when he mentioned that the Tories were failing on immigration and stuff like that, and I was like, how can he say this? And I have this discussion with my mum, and my mum's like, Charlotte, he is being strategic, because the reality is, I think she's got a point.
I've heard this argument before, but I don't know.
He's a barrister, by a top barrister by background.
Yeah, I love that he was a human rights lawyer. Big fan of that.
And he was in CPS.
Anyway,
so he's being strategic, and I mean, and I've come from your side, and I've had the discussions with my mum and been like, well, that's not good enough. And both her and her husband have been like, you're not seeing the bigger picture. The one thing he said is that he didn't get into politics to lose, and it doesn't matter how right on Jeremy Corbyn was or whatever he tried to do, he did lose. And he wants to, and it doesn't matter how good your policies are or what your position is, if you're not strategic enough to get yourself in, there's no point in having them because they're not going to make any difference. So she firmly and solidly thinks that he's just being strategic.
I mean, it just encompasses the issues with politics as a whole, though, doesn't it?
Well, of course. But what are you going to do? It reminds me of, do you remember in Evita the musical, where she's like in that bit, there's like it's Madonna and Antonio Banderas? And she's playing Evita, and he's playing like a political leader, and he's like also like a political commentator, and he's like saying to her, well, you've done this and this, and she's like, well, it's better to win by admitting my sin than to lose with a halo. If you don't get in, you don't do anything. Politics is a nasty game. We know that, and we've seen that the nasty game players are winning and their policies are in, and they're affecting the world that we live in. So you can be as right on as you want, but if you don't get in, you're not going to make any difference. So I see her point.
Mm-hmm.
What does your mum think that what does she think then, that he's going to get in and all of a sudden these like truly left sentiments that he has,
I don't think
he's going to bring them?
I don't think he's Corbyn left, but I think he's Labour, and I think he's left. And I don't, like, for example, on the immigration thing, I don't think I think he's doing, like, so the immigration point, when I was listening to it, I was horrified. I was like, and I said to Mum, how, it's too far, how could he do this? It's unacceptable. Because he was basically saying to the Tories, you said you were going to do this on immigration and you haven't done it. And and I'm like, oh, how could you mention that? And she's like, but my mum was like, yes, but who's going to be watching that, and who's going to be seeing that, and it's going to stop, you know, racist people, or like, you know, because there's plenty of working class people who vote Labour who are racist, who are anti-immigrant and buy into that narrative. So if it's going to win their votes, then it's going to win their votes. Yeah, it might be cynical, but so be it.
That's why I couldn't ever get into like politics like that, because I'd have to. That's why I couldn't ever get into like politics like that, like actually be an MP. Like, I'm happy enough talking about it, but like to actually be an MP, it's like all of a sudden you have to play this fucking stupid game, or like you can't be yourself anymore. You have to like say what you really think anymore.
And also, like, by that argument, what he's doing is appealing to potential right-wing voters. So it sounds like essentially he's trying to appeal more so to conservative voters. So then who do people who would usually vote Labour, who are we supposed to turn to if we don't have someone that we can recognise? I think a lot of his policies,
I don't think so, because that's just one example of one policy.
It's a pretty important policy though.
But he wasn't saying we need to get the immigrants out. What he was pointing out was that his argument, you know, the whole like stop the boats thing. He like their I've got it in front of me now. Like their like not manifesto, or their like plan that they'd put forward about the boats was, Terry's calling me, just cut that out, was like this exactly the same as the Conservatives. I think that's quite a big. I don't know. I'd have to read that. I'd have to cross check that. But I don't know. But what I got from it was that he was raising something that's important to Tory voters and showing that the Tories actually were saying it and creating a narrative around it, but they weren't in fact actually delivering on it. So he was just scrutinising, I suppose, the opposition, which is what they should do. Now, his wording was not careful, and I was, like I said, I was really angry about it when I first heard about it.
You said you'd drown them in the English Channel, and they haven't even drowned. I would make sure that they're all dead.
Who said that?
like you're basically like saying that that's what Keir Starmer was saying. Like, I know he didn't like literally say that, but
no, his thing. thing. So Labour will crack down on criminal smuggler gangs. Okay, so that's an argument that the Conservatives have been using about the stop the boats policy, making out but those people are being smuggled, when actually it's that they want to stop black and brown people from coming here. That's who tends to come over here on the boats. It's not so much about smuggler gangs. Have new agreements with France and other countries on returns and family reunions, so that when they get here we can ship them off as quickly as possible.
Family reunions.
I mean, that's actually what he put out.
Let's have some family reunions in Rwanda. Yeah, but all of that.
Like, what the fuck?
Like Motley. Yeah, but I don't know. But what I do know is, I think he's going to be the next Prime Minister.
Keir. Oh, Keir.
Yeah.
Old Starmer.
I do think so.
Old Starmer.
And that is certainly better. Like, Biden wasn't my first choice, but it's not Trump and it's not Republican, so I'm pleased.
God,
oh yeah, of course.
That's a bit shit though, isn't it? The worst of a bad bunch.
I don't know.
You can see why people stop caring about politics.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Because that's the thing. Like, if you've got someone like Starmer and the Labour Party who are like trying to appease right-wingers and racists, then who the fuck who are we supposed to vote for? Not everyone's going to think, oh, it's just strategic. Obviously, you want to look to politicians and see someone who aligns with your way of thinking. And if people are too scared to do that, then that's shit.
He's having to appeal to the get-in, though, hasn't he? He needs to get...
This is the argument for proportional representation as well. Like, you vote for, like, your favourite, and then your second favourite, and your third favourite, and then you get seats in Parliament are allocated due to popularity rather than who just wins each constituency.
Yeah.
Which is possibly a better way of doing it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter, like, what I vote around here. It's always Tories that get in.
Well, it's Tories.
I mean, your vote still technically doesn't mean nothing. Like, when you vote Labour in a Tory constituency, in a very Tory constituency, it doesn't mean nothing, because they do still look at the number of votes and go, oh shit, we lost votes. Maybe I should next time bring in some more, like, Labour-esque talking points into my campaign, kind of thing. And it's the same with, like, the Greens as well. Like, people think that a vote for the Greens is wasted. It's not. It's like the more votes that the Greens get, the more that the people who actually get in power are thinking, oh shit, maybe we should actually bring in more green policies because we're losing votes to them. They're a pressure party. Like, even though they're never going to get in, they're doing work as a pressure party, and they are actually changing things. Even though they've, like, I think they've still only got, like, one seat, haven't they, the Greens? But
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this country's inherent racism and the narrative put out by the government, it repulses me. I'm disgusted by it, and I hate it.
It's an easy narrative for people who don't want to get involved in politics, though. It's so easy to just, like, get people to hate other people. It's too easy.
100%. It's the oldest trick in the book, isn't it?
There was a judge, I think, on, like, working for the UN, who said that Britain can no longer hide from giving out, I don't know in what form, but dealing with reparations for slavery and the slave trade, for which obviously we contributed a lot. But Rishi Sunak recently refused to apologise or admit the role that the country played. But I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's interesting.
It should be taught in schools, isn't it? Shouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're happy to teach us about the Holocaust, aren't they? What those nasty Nazis did, and don't get me wrong, it's fucking vile, horrendous stuff, but they entirely miss out our own narrative in history.
Yeah.
You just mentioned the world wars that we won.
Yeah. God, we were so brave.
We were so brave
when
the nasty Germans came.
Yeah. I remember being taught at one point, tiny little Britain earned 25% of the entire world. And I'm like, and how did we do that? Did we rape and pillage our way around the world? Or did we just ask nicely?
We did some pillaging. We went round and we took what we wanted.
Can we take it?
Yeah, in fact, I had an argument with my racist builder about it back when I lived in Grantham. And I can remember him... what did he say? Oh, yeah, I made exactly that point to him. And I was like, we have to remember that our place and our economy and everything that we have, a lot of it has been, like... derived from slavery and the way we just did what the fuck we wanted without any consideration of ethics or morals, or we just basically went around the globe, took what we wanted, killed who we wanted, raped who we wanted, did what the fuck we wanted. And we have to acknowledge, and we should acknowledge, that is part of the reason of why we're at where we are now. And he was like, well, we can't be expected to take account of what people did in the past, you know, none of us living today were any part of that. And I was like, well, I think we should. But then, like, hardly any time later in the discussion, it was like, we won 2 world wars to get to this point. And I was like,
what did you do?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure you just said we can't take account of what people did in the past. Yeah. So which is it, hun? Which one we're going with? Are we taking that or not?
Yeah. I bet every what is it called?
You illiterate piece of shit. Who gets a vote? And and that is why I can get behind somebody who is being strategic.
I bet every what is it called? What's the Poppy Day, Remembrance Day? Who's like, never forget. Never forget. One of those, it will be.
Unless it makes us look bad, in which case...
Forget. Nothing happened. La 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 la.
Just cut that bit. Yeah, forget that bit.
I've been reading about when we like colonized like African countries and white people got obsessed with like black people's like bodies and like especially women's bodies and how like
I didn't know this.
Yeah, and they like they were like sort of made into caricatures, like they drew them with like massive bums and they were like, oh, look at this. And there was one woman, I've forgotten her name.
She was paraded around like in a circus because of her big bum.
What was her name? But yeah, I was reading about her, and she died of alcoholism at like 27 years old, and we never really learned whether she was like happy being part of that. So probably not, but we never really heard her own words about it. But yeah, she like people would literally she would be like on parade for white people to look at, like look at her weird body.
Sarah Bartman.
And now everybody's just getting BBLs. Yeah. Now everybody's paying for BBLs. Oh, how fucking weird.
I mean, they'd look at her, like her vulva as well, wouldn't they? And like her, like everything. Just.
Or Sarah Bartman.
So she was basically just.
I'm sure she had a nickname as well. Did she have a nickname?
So Sarah Bartman.
I don't recognise.
Also spelled Sarah. There's a Afrikaans pronunciation. It looks like Satja.
Oh, Hottentot. Yeah, that's the one. Hottentot. That was her. That was what she was called in the circus. Hottentot Venus. Yeah, and they'd like that. Yeah. They just stare at her like, oh my god, look at this freak.
Yeah, and she'd get paraded around because of her.
Yeah.
Because of that ass.
Yeah. Absolutely
but
mad.
That's been like a something that we see now with black bodies and like the objectification of black bodies, or how they're ridiculed until white people decide that it's something that they want. We see it with like black lips, like some of my friends who've got like big lips when they were younger would get ridiculed for having like just like black features and big lips, and now all the girls want those big juicy lips, and you see it with arses as well, like you were saying, Charlie. BBLs, sort of thing that black women would get ridiculed for, and now white women decided they like it, so it's like
every woman seems to have like huge fucking lip injections nowadays. Like everyone.
Some of them are insane. Yeah.
Like everyone on Love Island, and like even like every woman on The Apprentice that I watched last year. Like it looks. I'm sorry. Am I being like anti-feminist right now? It looks fucking ugly. I hate it. It's horrible.
But you do like natural stuff. Like you were going on about the woman's nails, and you're like, "That's fucking disgusting nails."
I don't get how people do anything with nails that long. How? And I don't think it looks nice.
I do think they look nice. I was thinking about getting some more.
Like the ones that are like centimeters long. They're fucking horrible. I don't care. I'll fucking tell. If you get them, I will tell you. I think they're fucking ugly.
A question for you, Gory. I just don't know if we've got time for this on this episode though. So maybe we should like do it on the next one. Somebody put this. Look, your videos, and it's for you. It's not for me and Naomi. It's for Moon.
Oh, is it the one about capitalism?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Do you really want to get into that right now? I mean,
no. That's why don't we do it on the next episode, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We'll answer that on the next episode.
Cool. Did you pick your favourite, Gory? Because Charlie and I had the same one, the centrist one.
I mean, I can. There aren't that many.
Gory, you've got to come prepared.
Got it. The other one that I mentioned to you both previously, we never actually discussed it. And somebody asked us this ages ago, and I think we should answer it. If we were playing, if it was rock paper scissors, who's the rock, who's the scissors, and who's the paper, and why?
What do you mean with us three?
Yeah.
Did someone ask us that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've covered this off before. God, you don't listen to me. So who's the rock out of us? Who's the paper? And who's the scissors?
I mean, what does each of those mean? Scissors.
I mean, it's kind of
like
weird, isn't it? Yeah.
You're mean. Like you
Sharp.
cut other people. Paper is like, I don't know.
Paper feels flimsy. But then also paper like wins against rock, interestingly, because you wrap it, don't you?
Mm.
So there's strength.
I guess like
in paper
rock
also.
would be like strong and
grounded.
stable.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't think I'd characterize us as like one of each of either of those things.
No.
Is that a really boring answer? Yeah, probably, but hey.
I would struggle as well. But let's just do rapid fire. All right. Quick, Gory. Naomi, we've got to quickly say that Gory's won. What are we saying?
I think rock.
Rock? Yeah, I was going to say paper.
Why paper?
But I don't know if it's just because you're thin and you've got like white hair.
Okay, fair enough.
Gory's grounded.
Just going
Like a
fully
sheet of
aesthetics.
paper.
Okay.
I feel like you're grounded though and you've got your shit together.
Have I? Oh,
Steady
God.
as a rock.
Oh, I'm glad I seem that way externally.
All right. Gory, what are we saying about Naomi? Just got to flippantly pick one.
I don't know.
Rock. I think rock.
I think I'd go rock as well. We're all going to be rocks, aren't we?
No, you're Papa. Okay, so why rock for me? It's just those tough edges. You just, quite hard.
Quite hard.
Solid.
Quite hard.
Solid as a rock, mate. Yeah.
Solid as a rock.
Right, guys, me? What am I?
You're a rock
I'd
as
say
well.
you were scissors.
We're all rocks. Because she's a lesbian.
She's
I'm always scissoring.
she'll cut you.
Because I'll cut you. What would you say, Gory?
I'd go rock. Like, yeah. I don't know why. I would say rock again.
Okay. I agree with scissors.
You wanted scissors.
I mean,
Why scissors?
because I'm
She's
sharp and
like-
I'll cut you.
It can be a bit vicious.
I can. But only if you're nasty to me. If you're not nasty to me, then I won't do that to you.
So, okay.
So I'll cut you. With my words.
Yeah, to be fair, that was quite scissory.
Yeah.
Scissor.
So,
I
okay,
need
so
to-
basically then, in summary, if we had to pick, I'd be the scissors. Naomi would come and smash me up as a rock, but then Gory,
I would
White-
wrap you
white
with my
shimmery piece of paper would just come
thinness.
and engulf us both. But then I'd cut her. Okay, anyway, let's pee and then
Yeah,
we'll get into the main
let's
meat and
do that.
potatoes.
Okay.
Steady as a rock. That's what your love is. Steady. Steady as a rock. That's what I should learn some more words to that. I'm just reading
Testing,
something I
1,
can't
2,
see.
3. I've brought with us the foreign correspondent, Sir Silas, who's going to input on. Oh, he's got his family emergency. He has to go. Sorry about that.
Got some nips to suck on.
Sorry, what was that?
Got some nips to suck on. Urgently.
Yeah. So when Gory came to mind, yeah, she picked Pearl up. What did she straight away go? She went, "What did you say, Gory? Poor Pearl. I felt awful." So Pearl is the mum cat. Yeah. What did you say?
I can't remember. It said something about nipples.
These are some big cat nipples. He's big because she's like she's nursing, isn't she?
Body shaming,
Pearl.
Pearl.
You body shamed my cat. You're like, wow, feel of these baby feeding nips or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, basically, yeah.
She's probably very self-conscious about her nips
She
now, Gora,
is.
because of you.
They're enormous. Do you know, did I tell you this? I can't remember if I've said it on here before or not, but when I got pregnant and I was breastfeeding, my nipples went near enough black. Really dark.
Why did they do that?
Mm?
Why? Is it like blood vessels and shit though?
Must be whatever hormonal changes were going on so that I could feed her.
Mm.
But honestly,
That's interesting.
I had the nipples of an Ethiopian. And it looked odd on me. And I was like, Mum, will this go back? And she was like, I don't think it does.
And did it?
Yes! Fucking bastard. They're like pink again. Just so weird, isn't it?
Doesn't your midwife like advise you on stuff like that?
I can't remember if I even asked her.
Mm.
There's so much
You
to
have to
learn.
get rid of your big black nips.
My nipples seem to have changed race.
Okay, guys, so shall we get into the main topic of conversation this evening?
Yes, darling, yes.
Yes, darling. So, so tonight we're going to be talking about Lucy Letby. And for those who may not know the story of Lucy Letby, she is a nurse who, from the period of 2015 to 2016, I think it was, like her killing spree was like just over a year, maybe 2016, 17. She's been convicted of murdering. She was a nurse. Working for the NHS.
Neonatal nurse.
Apparently quite a competent one as well. In intensive care, yeah.
With tiny babies.
Yeah. Convicted of murdering 7 babies and the attempted murder of 6 more, although they believe the number could be much higher.
Interesting. Because it's infanticide, yeah? I just thought, you don't, like, because obviously we had Beverly Allitt in England a couple of decades ago.
Do you explain who Beverly Allitt was?
So she was a nurse, she is a nurse who's in prison because she did murder babies and tried to murder more babies in Grantham, which is very close to, it's where me and Gory went to school. And it was babies pretty much our age. So those babies would be 34 now. 45, yeah. I know one of the guys who she tried to kill, but it didn't. Like, I
no way.
Yeah. It's the Grantham Hospital, yeah. Anyway, but I was just thinking, is it just that we don't hear about it, or is it just that it doesn't happen? Baby killers in England, yeah? No, but like baby killers in England, you don't hear about it in America? Or other countries?
Well, from what I can understand, from the reading that I've been doing, like, I'm fascinated by the psychology behind someone who does something like that. And the really, I think, interesting, like, usually, like, people are obsessed with serial killers, people love that shit. I'm actually not asked about series and that, but this, I was like, what is this? It's so they think that it could be something that's happened a lot more than we realize, actually. As in healthcare workers killing people, but then it doesn't look suspicious, and so it doesn't get there's no post-mortem for what it could be. And also because these killings by healthcare workers often happen in hospitals, they are settings which are then sterilized, so then any evidence is often gotten rid of as well. So when I was like researching, like, how does someone do something like this? And Beverly Allitt, the nurse that you just mentioned, so when she killed those babies, so do you know about Munchausen syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay, so for people that don't know, Munchausen syndrome is when you feign illness essentially for attention. Now, Munchausen syndrome by proxy is when you make someone else appear ill, again, for some sort of attention.
Yeah.
And so Beverly Allitt was actually the first case whereby that diagnosis was given to a healthcare worker. And people are saying the same thing about Lucy Letby, because if you are like looking for attention in a healthcare setting, if the baby dies, then people will say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's awful that you had to go through that. But then if the baby almost dies, but then they live, you're going to get attention with people being like, oh my God, amazing. It's so good that you managed to save that baby.
Yeah, because
Like,
that is the thing, the difference between Beverly Allitt and Lucy Letby. Allitt was renowned for taking the babies to the absolute edge, and then she wanted the praise for bringing them back. Whereas Lucy Letby has got a bigger. She's killed a lot. I think she killed a lot more babies. And it's almost like, because I was listening to. I only scraped the very surface of it with what I listened to, because I found a podcast that's like 56 episodes long, and it's going to go through every element of the trial, which is how I like to understand things. I want to see the whole picture.
The Allitt case?
No, Lucy
Letby
Letby.
Also, Allitt did kill. She killed four babies.
Not as many as Lucy.
No, but you said she liked to bring them to the edge and then bring them back, but she did kill babies.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but my reading of it in her cases was that she wanted the praise for bringing them back.
She even got made godmother of one of the babies, didn't she?
Yeah.
Did she?
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Which. And similarly, the thing I've been listening to has been talking about how Lucy would go to speak to the parents after and be milling around them. Absolutely grim, isn't it? And it's not I suppose killing babies isn't an exact science. So even if your intention is to kill them or to try and bring them back, you could kill them. Except that in this Lucy case, it's talking about how there'd be like 3 attempts on the same baby. So she would fail twice in the same night and then do it again, and then the baby would, so like then the team would come around and save the baby twice, and then she'd go in again, and on the 3rd time it would die.
I'd not read that. I'd seen that with Beverly Allitt though. There was a baby that she tried to kill twice, and it wasn't until they like moved it to another hospital after she tried to kill it twice, and then she got in the ambulance with the mother and child to be like, oh, I'll come to the hospital with you, after she just tried to kill it twice.
It's grim, isn't it? I mean, yeah, fundamentally grim. I'm so interested to listen to it. It's the Daily Mail podcast, which, I wouldn't normally advocate for, but they are breaking down the trial bit by bit and getting lots of different journalists and
Did you see what I put
witnesses
on my story though? They put a fucking handwriting. The Daily Mail. They did a handwriting expert analysis.
It's so grim, isn't it? It's
What?
so grim.
What's this? Explain it.
The Daily Mail, when they reported the Lucy Letby story, and they put on pictures of, the little notes that she wrote that were basically confessions. They got a handwriting expert to like analyze her handwriting, and they're like, oh, she put loads of loops. That means that she's obsessive. And in when she did like a G or a Y, that the way that she did like the bit that goes down, that means that she's stimulated by erotic material.
What on earth?
And the way that she did, and the way that some of it slants one way and some of it slants the other way, that means that she has trouble fitting into teams.
Where do they get these people?
Honestly, somebody got paid for that shit. Somebody got paid. And there are people out there reading it
to read it
and believing it.
Yeah.
Unquestioningly.
Well, there's nothing like that in this podcast so far. It's been very interesting, and like they've had.
Can't wait for the handwriting episode.
I really, from the material so far, I don't sense there's going to be a handwriting episode. But if there is, I'll be very disappointed.
Body language episode. Oh.
Well, they've been talking about her body language in court.
Of course.
They've said that she didn't go for her to get the final hearing, did she? But when she was in court, they said she was not.
And she told her friends
not
she told her friends not to come to court, right?
I wouldn't want my friends there for that either. Would you? If you obviously you've done it, you don't want to see your friends
she doesn't
listen to how you murdered 7 babies.
But if you didn't do it, would you want the support of your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she obviously did do it.
Yeah, well, she's been convicted.
Yeah.
But what I think, I mean, yeah, like I say, I don't put a great deal of stock by the Daily Mail. Although there are some good writers at the Daily Mail. Stuart Lee's wife wrote for the Daily Mail once upon a time.
Whose
Anyway.
wife?
Yeah.
Who?
Stuart Lee's wife.
Oh, Stuart Lee's wife wrote for the Daily Mail.
Stuart Lee, the absolute Daily Mail bashing lefty comedian. But
That's surprising.
Yeah, but then, you know, if you're, I guess, you know, I don't know. Nothing is entirely black and white, is it? Anyway. Yeah, what I really like is that it's going to talk us through it bit by bit, witness by witness, and the whole trial, because what you see when the media talk about things is they pick bits out and you hear a bit here in this article and a bit here in that article, and I just think you never really get the full thing until you've gone through every bit of evidence in a trial, which of course who the fuck has got time for that. But they've broken it down into 55 episodes, which I'm really interested, but obviously, you know, I've got through about 7 so far. So
if they're going through the trial that's just happened, even then they're actually not going to get
no, they did it as it went along.
No, because of the type of trial that it was. So there's like you'll probably know, well, you will know about this trial, but you can have like a statutory trial and like something that's not statutory. And for one of them, it means that the court is able to demand that witnesses come forward. But for the type of trial that Lucy's had, that it wasn't that type of trial for whatever reason. So basically the court then has to rely on people choosing to come forward. So there will quite possibly be even more witnesses that we don't know about. But because of the type of trial it is, the court hasn't been able to call them forward, and people have been asking for a change in the law, especially when it's like prolific like heinous crimes like
to
this.
like subpoena people basically.
Huh?
I mean, I'd have to read more about it, and my background isn't criminal, so I don't know that loads about it, but I do know that, I mean, you can order a court can order a witness to attend.
No, there's like different, like there's a statutory trial and something else, and
6-month trial anyway, 6 months.
Yeah.
The prosecution's opening submissions took 4 days.
Imagine being on the jury for that. Fucking hell.
Oof,
Grim. 6 months of your
And
life.
also, you've got to think, like, if somebody's going to be sentenced for 7 baby murders and infanticide, any prosecution has got to be proportionate. And what does another one add? I don't know. I mean, I guess justice for the families, I suppose, but in terms of what but also you've got to be strategic. Well, think about what you put in a jury through and how much information people can really take. So it'll get to a point where the prosecution will have thought, well, you know, we're going to get the result that we want with this.
Yeah.
And if we overload a jury more, what is it going to achieve? Don't know.
Yeah, Lucy Letby inquiry could be upgraded to compel witnesses. Number 10 indicates 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to look into that.
Right, if this happened in America though, like with their laws around the media, wouldn't, like, as soon as she got arrested, it would have been like on the news probably.
Yeah, which is gross. I don't like that.
Yeah, would have been awful.
How do you actually feel about her face being paraded around all over the place so intensely? Like, now?
I don't really mind about that. Do you think it's wrong?
I mean, I don't know. I probably sound like a hypocrite because we are discussing it, but it feels quite intense.
What, for the families or?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think, to be fair, I'm basing this off like watching stuff about her, so of course her face is going to be there. But it felt very like there she is. There she is again. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. She looks like one of you. She looks like one of us. She looks like a normal person, but she wasn't. She killed babies. Do you know what I mean? It just felt very like, whoa. But
what do you think about the Daily Mail being pissed off about her potentially being in a prison, which they are saying is like a holiday resort because there's a petting zoo there, and they get to shop for like designer clothes in it. There's a shop in the prison called Rags to Riches.
Yeah, I saw that.
But like, I don't know, what's your opinion on, I guess, prisoners, or I guess specifically prisoners who have done really heinous crimes like that, being given, I guess, activities to do while they're incarcerated? Good. You think it's good? I think
people should be treated like human beings. I mean, there's an argument to say that, you know, she's a terrible person. Lots of people in that prison are bad people, but I don't think, I mean, I don't know. I guess ultimately, for people who are at least, I think that prison should be about reform. So I don't think that sending
even if you're
someone
never
to
getting
prison
out
and
again,
treating them like shit makes sense.
I think there should be an element of punishment. It should be punishment as well.
Especially you have no freedom. You have your freedom taken away forever.
True. But then also, like, you know, the working man has their freedom taken away forever. It feels like
it's not the same as being in prison, though.
I mean, sometimes it feels like going to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care. Like, I'm not filled with anger when I think about Lucy Letby petting a goat in prison. I'm really not filled with anger at the thought of that. I'm just like, yeah, sure, as long as she's like not being given access to babies or, well, to anyone really, then I'm happy. Like,
if it was a baby farm,
yeah, she's petting babies.
It's a nursery.
Yeah.
Don't give her access to like syringes with insulin. We'll be fine, okay? Just let her do her thing. Lock her away.
She's allowed to work on the prison nursery.
Oh, but
that
the amount
would be a Daily Mail headline, wouldn't it?
What?
She's displayed good behaviour in prison, so she's been promoted to work in the prison nursery.
Straight to hell for her. But yeah, prisoners should be treated like humans because they are humans.
Because
like surely, like it or not.
Like surely they're just gonna go mentally just ape shit if they're treated awfully and they're made to be bored for the rest of their lives. And then surely when people are mentally incapacitated because they've been bored shitless, that's actually more. Surely that ends up being more expensive to the taxpayer because then we've got to pay to institutionalize them further and give them psychiatric help when we could just sort of just give them shit to do, you know.
And clean up their dirty protest when they throw shit all over their cells and stuff. Yeah, there's probably going to be like pragmatic, strategic reasons around it as well.
Exactly. And also like the amount of people that I've seen around this case are like, bring back the death penalty.
I've seen that.
Bring back the death penalty, capital punishment. It's like, do you fucking think about this for 1 second? Why we don't have capital punishment? Bring back the death penalty. People smashing their keyboards. Bring back the. That's what they look like in my head.
I don't know though. Yeah, no, we shouldn't bring back the death. No, we absolutely shouldn't, because it puts us on a level with. I was saying if somebody did that to Violet, I'd just kill them.
Yeah, I mean,
you just kill him yourself. You do the capital punishment. Yourself.
I just cut out the middleman. And fucking kill him. Although murder can be commuted to manslaughter if you do that because of diminished responsibility if you act in the heat of the moment. Anyway, that's a tangent.
Just gotta make it look like you're acting in the heat of the moment, baby.
Yeah, baby.
So, interesting aspect that I found with this case, usually when someone does a very bad thing or is a serial killer, usually you can look back at their past and there's been an element of abuse there or something bad has happened or blah, 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 blah. Don't you find it very intriguing that with Letby there actually appears to be nothing? Like loving parents, close to her family, perfectly normal upbringing, and then boom.
Her bedroom the pictures of her bedroom, she actually seemed kind of childish herself. Do you not think? Like, she had a stuffed toy on her bed. Like, her diary was like one of those Forever Friends Care Bear diaries, like, that a child would have.
Well, that was a red flag in and of itself. How was this not flagged up with safeguarding sooner?
Exactly. And, like, she had a fucking poster on the wall that said, like, wherever you go, leave sparkles or something.
Yeah, but like,
it just seems very childish. Like, I don't know. And she was like, how old? She was 33, I think. Yeah.
But for me, that's like, when people, like adults, love Disney.
Yeah.
Like, love Disney.
Yeah.
Like, that's a similar energy. Like, a bit, in my opinion, a bit wet. But not necessarily, like, red flag,
No, yeah. Just
like...
It's interesting, like, that like I said, I didn't get that far, but when just after a baby would die, she would text somebody intentionally so she could discuss it with them. I mean, I guess that kind of feeds into what you're saying, Naomi, about her wanting to get the attention. Oh, isn't it awful that you've had to go through this again, that this keeps happening on your shift?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? And as well, like, I was when I see the news and the headlines, I'm just like, oh, awful, blah, blah, blah. But when you're listening to the details around the parents and what she actually did to the babies and how she killed them, it's really, really harrowing. Like,
awful.
It was like torture, baby torture.
That she would know. But the fact that she knew, like, a lot of these parents had really struggled to conceive, and then, like, they'd had these children, and to kill one twin, just to watch the parents go through that.
She killed two of three triplets, right? She killed 2 or 3 triplets at one point.
Possibly.
I think she did.
I mean, I suppose there's going to be a higher number of twins and triplets on a neonatal ward, aren't they? Because they're often born premature.
Yep.
I think she did kill 2 of 3 triplets. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this was one of the first ones that they've clocked anyway. Was where she'd killed the boy twin and then saw the parents go through all the grief.
Jesus,
like, was comforting them, getting involved with, like, the whole process of, like, washing the baby and, like, putting him in and whatever, and then came back to try and kill the other one.
Insane. Well, it was those twins where she killed one and tried to kill the other. It was that case that actually got her caught. Yeah. Because like, when, like, an inquiry was first done into what was going on with these babies, they didn't find anything wrong. They just thought, oh, this is a premature baby that's died. But then when she was eventually, like, when she was looked into properly, I think in 2018, it was a senior doctor who, this is when the police actually got involved, and it was a senior doctor who looked over the case of the baby that died, and he found that insulin had been injected into the baby, but originally it had been looked over by a junior doctor who just hadn't spotted it. But so then that was given to the police, and then it was like, oh, okay.
I do wonder if that's a different set of twins. I'm not sure, but what they were discussing on this podcast is that baby A and baby.
I feel like it was just those twins. I think that she tried to kill.
Thought that, well, they were saying on the podcast that the prosecution prosecuting it as an embolism, not insulin.
I don't know. Maybe injecting insulin caused an embolism.
No, that's injected air into.
Oh, yeah.
Causes an embolism.
Don't know.
But I don't know. I'll tell you when I've got through another 50 episodes.
But yeah. She's only the 4th woman in Britain to be given a whole life sentence as well.
Who else? Yeah. Beverly Allen must have been given one.
I don't know. I'm actually not sure.
It must be what was her name? Moore's Murders. It must be her.
Moira Hindley.
Is that Myra?
Myra Hindley, yeah. She must have got one. Well, she's dead anyway, so. But Myra Hindley, she must have got.
So, like, going back to the thing about her having actually a perfectly normal upbringing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe slightly childish, but, like, very normal. Like, very normal. Like, the police, she'd been described in a police report as beige. What do you think about that then? I mean, do you think that someone can be, I mean, do you believe in evil?
I think that she must have been like, I don't know what the difference is between sociopathic and psychopathic. I look this up sometimes and I still don't really understand what the difference is, but I think she's probably one of the two. Like I think one of her colleagues, I think, like after they'd had a meeting, after like they'd had a load of baby deaths, I think recently, all of the staff had a meeting and everyone was like crying in the meeting and like everyone was just having an awful time. And then he asked Lucy, like, are you gonna, like, I don't know, are you having a hard time off? Yeah. And then she was like, oh no, I'm on shift tomorrow, like completely emotionless kind of thing.
That was wild, because he was suspicious of her. He was like the senior doctor who'd like blown the whistle, and then he called, like, I don't know, head of whatever, to say Lucy Letby should not be on shift tomorrow. And then the manager was like, well, she's gonna be. And then he said, okay, so you're gonna go against what we fellow doctors think, yeah?
The consultant doctors
he said,
as well.
So if anything happens, you're going to take responsibility for it then, yeah? She said, yeah. And then lo and behold, the next day, a baby almost dies. And then she was taken off.
Until I listened to this podcast, I did not realise how close together she was doing it.
Yeah.
It's happening so close together, like a few days apart. Like 4 or 5 babies in a month. Crazy.
What they'd usually experience in a year, wasn't it? Suddenly was happening in no time.
Yeah.
With regard to baby deaths, I mean.
And did you see the bit about the fact that the doctors who all got together and basically said, there's something wrong here, and they were forced to apologise to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wrote her a letter apologising.
And they were forced to by HR, and then basically told that you need to drop this.
Yeah. Because she'd been put on administrative duties, hadn't she? She wasn't happy about it.
And she had to have an appeal to go back on the board, and she won that and was put back on the board. Jeez.
But wasn't she still able to like cover up her tracks when she was doing clerical duties as well, though, because she could just change like details about baby's death or something. Or she did that while she was doing it anyway. I think she could like write what, because like the nurses are the only people who are like there when they're having, you know, when the babies are having like whatever medical problems. So like in essence, like you are putting 100% of your trust in those neonatal nurses, and they can literally say whatever the fuck they want. There's no one checking. So
yeah, it was making me so sad when I was like this hit, like, because you know when I said about the mum of the twins whose the first baby had died, and then I was saying that like, she was stuck to this little baby girl's side and just wouldn't leave her, and then it was only when she was like just forced out of exhaustion to like go and rest at that point that she came in. And is there any doubt in any of yours minds that she did it?
No, not even slightly.
What are you going?
No.
Especially like it was saying there were those 7 that she was convicted of, fine. But while she was there, over a time period, I think there were 25 in total deaths or suspicious, like near deaths. And she was the only nurse who was on shift for every single one of them. Yeah. And also, even when she was training at a hospital in Liverpool, there were 2 babies that died then.
Yeah, and they're investigating those now as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do we know what the jury like voted?
What do you mean?
It was, I'm not sure, like whether it was a majority or unanimous.
Yeah.
Doesn't a jury have to be unanimous?
No, you can be majority.
Okay.
It's a big majority. I think it's 10 out of 12.
Okay.
Jury. Unanimous. And if it's any less, then it becomes a hung jury. On the 8th of August, 15th day, so they deliberated for 15 days. They unanimously found her guilty of attempting to murder 2 infants by poisoning them with insulin.
I guess would they have they would have had to vote on every single baby, wouldn't they? I suppose.
Oh, that's horrible, isn't it? I'm gonna have to take my mic out so I can charge my computer.
Oh god, we're gonna need to get you a freaking adapter for this.
I actually bought another thingamajigger.
She's bloody gone.
Oh, she's an idiot. Rockefeller, is that her? My umbrella, God, I need you, baby. 2 secs.
This is a little bit longer than 2 secs.
Well, ain't that the way with Naomi?
I don't know how long her sex is.
Longer than your sex.
Oh god, I bet her laptop's fucked.
Again. Well, I think there's enough. We've got enough material. Fuck her, I say. We'll just include this bit. I say fuck her.
Is she gonna be able to say bye?
Doubt it. Does it matter? She's a prick anyway.
Wait, is she? She's very like 2 frames a minute, but we can see you swear. But it's at like 2 frames.
Naomi, I think it's time we say bye bye. It's not a very nice way of doing it, is it? Should we go?
Yeah.